Y News with Angelo Castro III, William Theo, and Darlene Basingan.
The government has canceled the back-channel talks with the National Democratic Front, supposedly scheduled this weekend. Rosalie Cos tells us why.
The latest ambush of some members of the New People's Army against government forces this morning prompted the government to cancel the scheduled informal talks with the communist group on Saturday. Presidential Peace Advisor Secretary Duresa made the announcement on his Facebook account just this afternoon. For this reason, Secretary Jess Duresa said there's no guarantee as to when the formal peace talks between the two parties will resume. 5 personnel of the Presidential Security Group were wounded and 1 CAFGU were killed in the incident. This is aside from the 2 soldiers who were also killed due to alleged attacks of the NPA rebels in Palawan. Duresa said the current situation on the ground is not appropriate to resume the peace negotiations. Issues such as ceasefire, demands of the government to NPA to stop their extortion activities, offensive and other criminal activities are the target issues that should be discussed in the back-channel talks. Last night, President Duterte met with the government peace panel in Malacanang. The chief executive ordered the government panel not to resume formal peace talks unless the communist rebels agree to stop their attacks against government troops in Mindanao. Yesterday, CPP has ordered the NPA to intensify its attacks and offensive against government forces because of the proposed martial law extension in Mindanao. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Relatives of the SAF-44 want graver charges against former President Benigno Aquino III. Grace Casin tells us why.
Felicitas was emotional when they filed an appeal at the office of the Ombudsman over the Mamasapano encounter. She is the mother of one of the brutally killed PNP SAF members in the botched Mamasapano operation. Felicitas says he cannot accept the fact that the Ombudsman seemed to have acquitted former President Benigno Aquino III in the killing of 44 members of the PNP SAF when it decided to lower it to graft charges filed against the former chief executive. Together with the relatives of the SAF-44 in filing the appeal is the Volunteer Against Crime and Corruption or VACC. In the motion filed by the group, they asked the Ombudsman to upgrade to 44 counts of reckless imprudence resulting to homicide and usurpation of authority the charges filed against Aquino, former PNP Chief Alan Purisima, and former SAF Director Getulio Napeñas. They argued that a graft case is not appropriate for the brutal killing of the members of the elite PNP SAF commandos.
Hanggang ngayon po, masakit sa amin. Hindi po kami makapag-move on. Lalo't-lalo na nakikita namin ang mga apo namin. Lumalaki po sila. Hinahanap po nila ang kanilang mga ama.
Even Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre believes the charges are too weak and that Aquino may not even face jail time for it.
Masyadong maliit na yun at as a matter of fact, alam naman natin available yun eh.
Aquino's spokesperson Abigail Valte says both parties have the right to file for a motion for reconsideration, but adds the decision on the case still rests to the Ombudsman. Former SAF commander and now retired police director Getulio Napeñas, on the other hand, insists that he has no liability in the death of the SAF members, but President Aquino himself.
Tanong lang yan eh, ako ba pumatay sa anak nila? Sa mga tao ko? Hindi. Ayun ang tanongin natin kay Presidente Pinoy kasi nasa Zamboanga siya. Yun ang pananagutan niya. Bakit hindi siya nag-provide ng tulong from the morning hanggang hapon?
Valdez says Aquino's camp also filed a motion today at the office of the Ombudsman. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Let me just tell everybody that I have declared martial law for Mindanao.
During today's security briefing in the Senate, senators interrogated top military and defense officials over the proposed extension of martial law in Mindanao. Nel Maribuhok tells us why.
The state of the existing martial rule in Mindanao was the primary agenda in today's security briefing in Senate, attended by top officials of the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Defense Department. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana and National Security Advisor Secretary Hermogenes Esperon led the briefing.
Tanong nila kung
ano nagawa namin sa past 2 months, kung ano pang dapat namin gawin sa susunod.
Senator Grace Poe inquires about the need to extend the declaration of martial law.
Unang-una, ang tanong is kailangan ba? Pangalawa, kung 60 days or hanggang December. Siyempre, sinusuportahan natin ang ating mga sundalo pero naintindihan din natin ang kalagayan ng ating mga IDPs.
But after the briefing, some senators expressed their support to the request of the President to extend the declaration.
We are in general in support of the extension of martial law.
It will help restore peace and order in Mindanao. Nakakatulong yan, especially in the movements of armed personnel.
But Senator Risa Ontiveros did not make a decision, citing she reserves her concerns for the special joint session of Congress on Saturday.
For one, hindi ko pa masabing sumusuporta ako ng extension.
Meanwhile, Secretary Esperon believes that majority of the senators support the President's proposal.
I must say that the senators are in most cases in agreement with us that we still need the martial law in Mindanao.
He adds that the issue on martial law is not all about fighting terrorism but also to attain peace in the region.
Now, we would like to shepherd yung peace process. Kailangan maalagaan natin yung ginagawa natin ngayong usaping pangkapayapaan with the Moro Islamic Liberation Front.
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Yesterday, the Makabayan Bloc and Ifugao Representative Teddy Bagilat Jr. requested for a hearing and briefing before the joint session. However, according to Majority Floor Leader Congressman Rudy Fariñas, the House will have its briefing on Saturday as many congressmen have not yet come back to Manila until SONA. Joyce Balancho, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
Deputy House Speaker President Castro believes the Supreme Court or SC has no jurisdiction to review whatever action the Congress may take on the request to extend martial law in Mindanao. Meanwhile, Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre says it's the prerogative of Congress to decide the duration of the extension. Roderick Mendoza will tell us why.
The decision of Congress on President Rodrigo Duterte's request for an extension on martial law in Mindanao will be final. Deputy House Speaker President Castro says even the Supreme Court cannot review whatever action the Senate and House would take on the issue. The two houses of Congress will convene in a special joint session on Saturday before the original martial law declaration expires.
Ayon sa saligang batas, sinasabi doon na ang extension is the sole prerogative ng Congress. Kaya ngayon kung ang Kongreso lamang ang may kapangyarihan upang ibigay ang extension na hinihingi ng Pangulo o ng Executive Department ng ating pamahalaan, paano ito re-reviewin ng Supreme Court?
He says it is also within the power of Congress to decide how long the extension would be. What is important, according to the lawmaker, is that the extension will be enough to attain the objective of the martial law, which is to eliminate the threat of multi-ISIS and other armed groups.
Ang saligang batas ay walang sinasabi na ang extension ay 60 days lang. Kaya ito ay iniiwan sa pagdesisyon ng Congress kung gaano katagal ang kailangan.
Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre agrees the President is asking for a 5-month extension, but Aguirre says it is not against the Constitution if the Congress would give a longer time.
I believe that the request of the President is very reasonable, justifiable. Nung unang pa man, at first instance, pwedeng sinabi ng Congress na 1 taon ang binibigay namin sa Pangulo for martial law. Pwede yun.
Albay Representative Ed Selagman, who filed a petition with the Supreme Court against martial law declaration, is against it. He said they will again seek remedy with the High Court once the martial law extension is approved. Nonetheless, he said the extension of martial rule in Mindanao should not exceed another 60 days. Roderick Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
And whether or not the martial law period will be extended, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, calls on the public to always cooperate with authorities. Leia Ilagan tells us why.
AFP spokesperson Brigadier General Restituto Padilla Jr. says the public has to remain alert and vigilant of their surroundings to ensure their safety.
Ano ba mang mong kahina-hinalang mga tao na nariyan sa kanilang paligid, o mga bagong muka, o mga bagay na iniiwan at kanilang nalalaman ay ipasa na kagad ang impormasyon sa ating mga otoridad.
Padilla explains that monitor of security is not just the job of the uniformed personnel but of everyone as well. Through this, the military official says the safety of the community can be ascertained.
Again, we call on everyone and to unite against this common threat of terrorism. Because if we work together, we can secure and keep our community safe from all kinds of threats.
He adds that it is better to remain prepared even if there's no threat monitored yet in major cities across the country.
But then again, as I mentioned, the threat never stops. There will always be threat coming from anywhere, any time of the day, any time of the week. And hence, the issue here is readiness.
The general explained that with continuous cooperation of the public to authorities, lawless element will be deterred to commit crimes. Leia Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Aguinaldo.
President Rodrigo Duterte will stay in Davao City to prepare for his second State of the Nation address on Monday. Based on the latest advisory from Malacanang, President Duterte has not scheduled any activity for today until tomorrow. However, there is no guarantee yet if the chief executive will come to Manila on Saturday for the special joint session he requested to Congress for the deliberation of his proposed martial law extension in Mindanao. Presidential Communications Secretary Martin Andanar said his camp will go to Davao City by Thursday to assist President Duterte in finalizing his speech and brief him what to expect from technical production. Research group Ibon Foundation has given the Duterte administration a failing grade for its first year in office. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
Ibon is unsatisfied with the performance of the Duterte administration in the past year. The group specified the decline in the country's employment rate, wherein about 400,000 Filipinos lost their jobs based on the group's collected data from the Philippine Statistics Authority. The group also argues that in 2016, Filipinos who preferred to work abroad has reached 2.1 million, which is an indication that the country is currently experiencing economic crisis.
May 4.6 million unemployed and discouraged workers in the country ngayon. Malayong-malayo yan sa official unemployment figure na less than 3 million.
The group is also questioning the status of thousands of workers who were regularized under the anti-contractualization campaign of the government.
Actually, ni-regularize siya on paper pero hindi pa rin nakukuha yung actual mga benefits.
The group says if the administration will not change its strategy in running the economy, all efforts will end up in vain. They claim that Dutertenomics is just a copycat of the strategies of the previous administration, even way back in the 50s.
Yung Dutertenomics is actually short-sighted and anti-development.
On the other hand, the group has rated the administration positively in terms of free irrigation for farmers project, but adds that it still needs to provide them additional support like free fertilizers. Overall, the Ibon gave a grade of 5 out of 10 for the Duterte administration's performance in its first year in office. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
President Rodrigo Duterte ordered the increase of employment compensation funeral benefits both in private and public sectors through Executive Order Number 33. The funeral benefit for the dependents is increased by 10,000 pesos, from the current 20,000 pesos to 30,000 pesos. Based on the Studies of Social Security System or SSS and Government Service Insurance System or GSIS, The state insurance fund can finance the increase of funeral benefits without requiring additional contributions from its members.
Next on Y News. LTFRB is determined to resume apprehension of Colorum Transport Network vehicle services on July 26.
Representatives of the European Union talked to Senator Laila de Lima on issues of human rights violations in the country.
And participating teams start preparations for the next regular session of UNTV COP, the Regional League of Public Servants.
Y News will be right back. The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, has ordered the closure of several bus terminals in Quezon City. John Nano explains why.
The Roro Bus Transport Terminal along Cubao Main Avenue in Quezon City can no longer operate starting today. The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, and the local government of Quezon City ordered the closure of the said terminal for lack of necessary permits. The terminal wasn't able to secure a permit to put up required facilities like PWD areas, comfort rooms, and waiting areas for their passengers, among others. Also ordered closed is the DLTB bus line along EDSA Timog Avenue for turning its terminal into a garage in violation of its business permit. The MMDA says it had given the bus companies ample time to fix their terminals, but they failed to do so.
Sa totoo lang, napakatagal na ito, taon na ito, di ba? Na paulit-ulit na lang, hindi na tutuloy. So this time itutuloy na natin. Alam na ng mga bus terminals na yan na may problema sila. Hanggang ngayon, hindi nakakasunod.
Meanwhile, the Dimple Star Bus Transport is given 5 days to explain to MMDA why their terminal along Cubao should not be shut down. This is despite having no location clearance, sanitation permit, fire safety compliance, and other required permits. But the caretaker of the bus line have this to say.
Ready na po kami yan lahat. Nasa plano na po yan lahat. Mayroon na po kaming kwan dyan, ipapagawa po yan. Mayroon na po yan. Papagawa lang po namin yan. Kasi nakasked na po yun.
Some passengers of the Dimple Star and Roro Bus Transport are dismayed after their travel was delayed due to the sudden closure of the terminals.
Hindi ko naman po alam kung nga pasasara na po eh. Kaya kahapon nakakuha kami ng ticket. Ang sabi sa amin, 9 daw po ang alis. Kaya maaga pa kami kanina dito.
Mahirap din. Kaya nasanayan na namin dito eh. Isang lalayo pa kami doon. Dito kami sa Caloocan. Tapos ang bibiyahe pa kami ng Laguna. May imbes makatipid kami, hindi na. Lalong dadagdag ang gastos na.
Aside from the said bus lines, 7 other bus terminals in Quezon City were issued with final closure notice for repeatedly violating the nose-in, nose-out policy. The MMDA warns all bus lines of closure once the agency receives new complaints against them. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Several senators are calling on the Land Transportation Office and other stakeholders to immediately resolve the concerns over transport network companies and discuss agreements that will favor the parties involved. Nel Maribohok will tell us why.
Senator Ralph Recto appeals to Malacanang to intervene in the issue regarding the issuance of permits to transport network companies, or TNCs. Recto says the issue should already be considered a transport crisis as it may affect millions of commuters that patronized Uber and Grab. Senator Bam Aquino wants a public hearing on the matter, which he says might primarily affect the public. Senator Sani Angara, meanwhile, believes the Land Transportation Office and the TNVS should be able to reach an acceptable agreement at the soonest possible time. In line with this, 2 resolutions were filed at the Senate that seek an investigation into the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board or LTFRB's process of issuance of franchise to the TNVS. Senate Committee on Public Services Chairperson Grace Poe wants to know first from the LTFRB the root cause of the said issue.
Sinasabi ng LTFRB, hindi sila kompleto sa kanilang papeles. So, temporary kanilang hindi sila pwede mag-operate. Nandun na ako, pero bakit ang bagal mag-issue ng permit sa kanila? Sinong nagkukulang sa kanila?
The lady senator says she will ask the agency to temporarily lift the suspension of TNVS operation.
Ako, aapila ako sa LTFRB na habang sinusuri itong problema na ito, huwag silang bastang suspinde ng suspinde. Kasi ang daming mawawalan ng masasakyan.
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, has put a one-stop shop located at their central office in Quezon City, dedicated for all transport network vehicle services. John Nano will tell us why.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board vows to fast-track the processing of thousands of pending franchise applications of transport network vehicle services. For this reason, the agency has put up one-stop shop at its main office where more than 3,000 drivers who were first granted with franchises will be able to apply for the renewal of their provisional authorities as well as certificates of public convenience. Earlier today, the LTFRB's technical working group had their meeting with the representatives of Uber and Grab to tackle the issues about their system. Uber and Grab management committed to provide the agency a complete list and detailed information of their operations. This will serve as the basis of the LTFRB to come up with a concrete plan on how to settle the problems with thousands of TNVS. LTFRB clarifies that as of now, they will prioritize to expedite the processing of around 11,000 pending franchise applications that were filed even before the moratorium was issued.
What we told Uber and Grab is that those pending sa amin, which is around 2,000, the total number that we will be fast tracking will be around somewhere between 10 to 11,000. So plus 3,000 something. So there will be mga PAs or CPCs within that number muna. Doon muna tayo.
Meanwhile, the agency stood firm that it will resume apprehensions on Colorum TNVS on July 26. Transportation Department, on the other hand, pointed out that they understand the need for better public transportation but insisted that there is an existing law that Uber and Grab must follow.
Let's take it as it is. Talagang may problema tayo ng transport. Alam natin yun. But it does not mean that we will bend the rules for them.
Some drivers are worried on the negative of these issues on their living.
Binigyan kami ng application for para makabiyahe sa daan, pero may ganito palang problema na kaming kinakaharap. So yun, medyo kami, syempre yung sasakyan namin hulugan.
Siguro kung na-inform kami tungkol sa moratorium, dapat hindi kami kumuha ng kotse.
On July 26, all apprehended TNVS will be fined of 120,000 pesos with vehicles subject for impounding for a period of 3 months. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Travel time from Bonifacio Global City to Ortigas Center in Pasig will soon be shortened with the new DPWH project set to begin in August. Maki Libradilla explains why.
The Department of Public Works and Highways says the soon-to-be constructed road network that will link Ortigas Center in Pasig City to Taguig will help lessen the heavy volume of vehicles along EDSA.
From BGC, dadaan ka sa EDSA, dadaan ka pa sa Guadalupe. At alam naman natin kung gaano ka-congested ang Guadalupe Bridge. So ito, at least makakatulong sa decongestion ng EDSA.
The Department of Public Works and Highways, or DPWH, believes this is a solution to the daily struggle of employees like Alcer. Alcer's daily travel time from Ortigas to BGC in Taguig usually takes almost an hour.
Pagka-traffic, halos inaabot kami ng 40 minutes.
In August, the construction of the BGC Ortigas Center link is set to begin. Through this road network, travel time of motorists from Ortigas to BGC or vice versa will only take 12 minutes.
Siyempre, mas maganda po pagka nagawa yun, bibilis na yung biyahe namin. papuntang BGC. Mas maganda kung mas maagang matatapos yun kasi halos araw-araw nagdudusa tayo sa traffic.
The BGC Ortigas Bridge is one of the 14 bridges the DPWH will construct to resolve the heavy flow of vehicles along major roads in Metro Manila. The government allocates 1.6 billion pesos for the construction of the 4-lane and 1-kilometer BGC Ortigas Bridge project that will pass through the Pasig River. The Public Works and Highways Department targets to complete the construction by year 2019. Secretary Villar, meanwhile, calls for patience from the public as the construction of the BGC Ortigas Bridge would cause heavier traffic.
We'll do our best to minimize yung traffic caused by construction. Ginagawa naman namin to para sa long term. Saan nyo naman po na walang maraming proyekto ang DPWH at ang DOTR para finally lumuwag ang traffic natin sa Metro Manila.
Maki Libradilla, UNTV News and Rescue, Taguig City.
And the Department of Labor and Employment reiterates that overseas Filipino workers will not pay anything for the soon-to-be issued OFW ID card. Aiko Miguel explains why.
Overseas Filipino worker advocate John Leonard Monterona was surprised when he applied for an OFW ID card in idol.ph website last July 14. It showed that he has to pay 701 pesos to claim it. 501 pesos is for the ID card and another 200 pesos for the delivery charge.
Humingi tayo ng clarification kay Dole Secretary Silvestre Bello III kung ano nga ba talaga ang tunay na sitwasyon. Kung meron nga bang bayad ang idol o libre ito. Dahil kung merong bayad ito, well definitely tututol tayo.
Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III meanwhile clarifies that what John Leonard saw on the website was a test run for the registration of OFWs.
Paulit-ulit namin sinasabi yan dahil may mga ewan ko anong agenda nila na pinapalabas na merong bayad amounting to about 500 up to 700. The activation of the website and availability of the card, including the corresponding guidelines, will be announced once the thorough test run of the system is completed.
The Secretary has also once again insisted that OFWs will not pay any amount for the ID card, as well as returning OFWs processing their documents at the POEA. He says recruitment agencies will shoulder the cost for all the documents.
Sila ang agent, representatives ng employer, because we cannot talk to the employer who is abroad, diba, and tell them you have to pay. Because they have an agency agreement, so they act on behalf of the employers.
In line with this, recruitment agencies and labor officials also held a meeting earlier to clarify the rules for the paying of the OFW ID cards. The Coalition of Licensed Agencies Employing Service Workers or CLADS supports the said program, but they are having concerns on where to get funds for it.
Ang buong pagkakaintindi po ng OFW at kaming mga recruitment practitioner, ito ay libre kasi free, it's a gift. However, meron ngayon pong lumalabas na mga payment na shoulder ng recruitment industry. Ito po ay magkakaroon po kami ng malawak na konsultasyon.
The DOLE wants to allay concerns of the OFWs that they still have to pay for the OFW ID. The government says it will intervene between the employers and recruitment agencies so that OFWs can get their IDs free of any charge. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
In other news, Malacanang has released the list of regular and special non-working holidays for year 2018 through Proclamation number 269. Based on the proclamation, there are 10 regular holidays and 8 special non-working holidays for next year. This is aside from the national holiday which will be declared for the observation of Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. Thus, the public may expect 10 long weekends come 2018.
A delegation from the European Union visited Senator Laila de Lima today at the PNP Custodial Center. Monokson will tell us why.
4 members of the European Parliament from the EU Subcommittee on Human Rights have visited Senator Laila de Lima this afternoon. EU's acting ambassador to the Philippines, Matthias Lentz, was also among the visitors. They are among top-ranking officials of the bloc who attend the issues related to human rights violations. Their visit aimed at checking on the condition of the lady senator inside detention. Soraya Pose, a member of the EU Parliament, attests that the senator is in good condition.
And she seems very good and strong, and we discussed her situation, and she didn't complain on the police in her detention. She said they're taking care of her there, but she says that she would love to go to her family, and she also would love to go to her work to vote in the Senate.
The delegation also asked the senators' views on important issues such as the proposed reimposition of death penalty and the reduction of minimum age of criminal responsibility.
Express our concerns as parliamentarians in Europe about the case of the Lima, of course, because we had a resolution, and also some other issues that is of our concern on human rights.
Mon Hocson, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
Participating teams have started their preparations for the next regular session or season rather of UNTV Cup, the Regional League of Public Servants. Bernard Dadis tells us why.
Anybody's ball game still. The shot will work.
After a successful UNTV Cup off-season game executive face-off, preparations begin for the regular season for the League of Public Servants.
Sa awa ng Diyos ay nakaraos naman tayo nang wala namang nai-injure.
UNTV Cup Commissioner Atoy Co and Deputy Commissioner Ed Cordero have conducted a meeting recently with the coaches and team managers of each team for the upcoming UNTV Cup Season 6 in August. That is why each team is gearing up for the coming months of hard-court action.
Sa UNTV kasi every season lumalakas yung mga teams eh. So very competitive this year. Siguro yung stamina and yung build-up namin ng character sa team namin ang importante namin gawin.
Although the DOJ team did not reach the executive phase of finals, the Justice Boosters are contended to have reached the semifinals for the first time since they joined the league.
Pipilitin namin ulit na makapag-perform na maganda yung team DOJ. So ngayon medyo nagre-rebuild kami ng lineup eh. So sana maka-perform ulit kami ng maganda sa Season 6 sa UNTV.
Meanwhile, Season 5 runner-up Malacanang Cubao is conducting early practices for the upcoming season.
Sana mas maging matatag pa yung team namin ngayon. Pero ang inaano namin ngayon, mas higher pa. Expected namin, mas maganda pa ipakita namin itong season na. Tuesday kami, every Tuesday, Thursday sa Rizal.
A stronger team is expected from the defending champion PNP Responders according to head coach Eric Samson.
First of all, siyempre i-defend namin yung championship namin, di ba? Definitely, mag-iiba kami ng concept of building the team. Mag-iiba rin kami ng concept of playing concept. Defensively, doon kayo matututo.
The AFB Cavaliers, meanwhile, has high morale, especially that their generals and colonels got the title at the executive face-off. The AFB ended the Season 5 as the 5th placer after being toppled by the Malacanang Cubao at the semifinals despite the twice-defeat advantage.
Wala naman kaming masyadong changes, pero definitely pag nagkaroon kami ng bagong players, mas bibilis siguro yung lineup namin eh. Kasi yun pa rin naman yung sistema ng team. Siyempre number 1 pa rin doon yung magiging running team kami. Siyempre endurance din. Yeah, hopefully mataas yung moral ng team, lalo na yung mga executive na handa naman tumulong sa amin eh.
Meanwhile, the screening of the new teams has begun as they already submitted their application to join the one-of-a-kind charitable basketball league in the country. There was an orientation for some teams from 7 government agencies to be led by coaches who are mostly former professional basketball players. Some of them are Philippine basketball legend Freddy Hubalde, big man Saldi Realubit, Ernesto Ballesteros, and Vince the Prince Season. Kuya Daniel Rason says some of the much-awaited events are the out-of-town games that started last season.
The mas intense na mga games and of course, yung ating patuloy na pagbibigay ng public service sa ating mga beneficiary ay magpapatuloy naman yan at yun ang pangunahing adhikain natin dito sa UNTV Cup.
Bernard Dadis, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Coming up, Turkey rolls out new school curriculum without Charles Darwin's theory of evolution.
Chicago Museum turns into summer favorite spot for young kids.
And Kuya Daniel Razon's advocacy film, Isang Araw, Ikatlong Yugto, wins an award at PNP's first ever anti-illegal drugs film festival.
More from Y News after this break.
The Philippine National Police accorded Kuya Daniel Razon's advocacy film, Isang Araw, Ikatlong Yugto. Robbie De Guzman will tell us why.
At the very first PNP Anti-Illegal Drugs Film Festival of the Police Community Relations Group or PCRG, the movie of Kuya Daniel Razon, Isang Araw, Ikatlong Yugto, received an award. An advocacy award was given by the PCRG for the great contribution of Kuya Daniel's movie to support the government's campaign against illegal drugs.
And we are really humbled na merong mga recognition na kagaya nito, but just the same, kagaya na sinasabi natin, ma-recognize man o hindi yung ating mga effort na ginagawa, ito ay bahagi ng ating nakilalang obligasyon na kailangan nating maisakatuparan while we are being given the opportunity. At yun ay isang napakalaking bagay para sa atin na meron tayong mabuting pagkakataong makagawa ng kabutihan sa ating kapwa-tao.
A part of Kuya Daniel's movie is no other than the PNP Chief Ronald Bato de la Rosa. PNP Chief de la Rosa agreed to be part of the movie because he knows that the film would help a lot in imparting enough knowledge about all of their campaigns. And if given the chance, he will agree to be, once again, a part of the next advocacy film.
Why not? Why not? Pag si Kuya Daniel ang gagawa nun is laki ng pasasalamat namin sa kanya. Yung buong UNTV kay Kuya Daniel, laki ng utang namin sa kanya. So, willing ako anytime.
Because of Kuya Daniel's movie, PCRG has conceptualized the film festival. Like Isang Araw, Ikatlong Yugto, the entries in the film festival are advocacy films that support the PNP's campaign against illegal drugs. Several universities in Metro Manila joined the said contest, including the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, La Consolacion College, and Eulogio Amang Rodriguez Institute of Science and Technology or IRIST. The movie entitled Sais 23 from IRIST garnered many awards, including the Best Film Award. The winning movies at the Anti-Illegal Drugs Film Festival will be aired on UNTV through the PNP's program Police at Your Service.
Ang laban sa illegal na droga, hindi lang trabaho ng pulis Trabaho ito nung lahat. At lahat kasi dito naapektuhan. Kagaya ng sinabi na, hindi lang yung mahirap, hindi lang yung mayaman, hindi lang yung bata, yung matanda.
Robbie De Guzman, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Weren't you part of that film, Will?
Yes, I was.
What lessons did you learn from working with Kuya in the film?
Well, I learned a lot on discipline, on focus, and also the understanding of what happens in the police setting. And I'm really thankful
Good experience.
for that. Yes,
How about you, Doreen? Did you watch the movie?
I haven't watched it yet, but I'm planning to watch it soon.
Should take time. Next week, I'll ask you about the movie. That's your homework.
Yeah, sure.
Those are the reasons behind the news, July 19, 2017. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am William Theo.
And I'm Darlene Basingan, because we need to know.
We will always ask why. Thank you for watching Y News.